Aloha everyone, Z808 here, and today we're going over my recommended build for Momo. Obviously, the build is based on my own research and opinion, and may be different from yours. It is not meant to be a perfect guide, but instead, it is meant to be used as a perspective on why you may want to use this character in your team. Now, for my builds, I will use the following flowchart to have some consistency. Why I think the character is strong for both PvP and PvE modes. The minimum star level the character needs to strive for to be effective. The recommended gears, skills, and engraving for the different modes. Last but not least, gameplay examples to highlight some strong areas. Now with that out of the way, let's take a look at Momo. Now I am going to look at the trait first on why I feel Momo is so strong. So Momo has in her trait has this what we call repulsion barrier. Now repulsion barrier is very strong because it's one of the buffs that gives you immunity to knockback. In addition, it does give you some extra boost to your attack, but it also makes her super strong versus physical attacks and reducing it by 50%. So if you look at her basic, I guess your base physical defense is not very high, but because 50% is such a high number, reducing the physical versus physical attack, it just makes her super tanky. And another thing to kind of keep in mind is that with her stacks of repulsion barrier, she is also able to combine it with her ultimate skill called Doom Wicken. Now, what's so special about Doom Wicken is while you gain some repulsion barrier, it is an instant skill, but most importantly, it gives you this right here. The buff is increased attack by 20%, and it grants you 50% life steal. But that's not all of it. It also gives you this alert, which is a 3-star radius at the end of the action, dealing 70% magic damage for up to 3 times per round. Now, we know a lot of other characters have alert, but what's so special about her is that her attack goes up really high with all the buffs that she gets. And it is a magic attack, so if you think about it, there's not that many heroes that does alert using magic attack, so that's another bonus for her. But not in addition to that, there is a good combination of gears as well as tarot that will allow her to really get that damage way up, because 70% is not that great. However, with the buffs that she can get, increasing her attack as well as her damage, that's what makes her really shine. Now, of course, this is just one way to look at her, as being on the alert and creating what we call a zone of control. And this is mostly for PvP. Can be used for PvE, but makes her super strong for PvP. And in addition to that, she also have a different build which I want to go over later, where she can focus more on AoE and infliction. But with that said, what reason why I feel she's strong is because her unique trait as well as her unique ultimate skill that allows her to be a really strong character to be used for both PvP and PvE. As far as the minimum star level the character needs to be is, I feel like for her you want to be at least 3 stars. Now the reason for that is because if you look at both the first level and second level for the stars, is that while at the end of Momo's turn she gains 2 stacks of repulsion barrier, there is a cooldown of 2 turns. That's not that great. However, once you reach 3 stars, that cooldown disappears. So every single turn, she's able to get 2 stacks of repulsion barrier. Makes her more tanky, as well as making her be able to have more, I guess, stacks to use to counter attack the enemy when she pair up with her alert skill. And of course, if you get to 5 stars, it's even better because then, right at the beginning of battle, she gets 3 stacks. But while it is great, but is not as essential. Of course, if you're looking for ultimate damage for for end game PVE, you definitely want the 5 stars because you gain 35% more dots and you get a lot more stacks. But as far as the minimum, I highly recommend 3 stars if you want to stop and then work on someone else because we are very short on getting shards for all the heroes that we want to be working on. So that's the where I would recommend 3 stars. Now moving on, as far as for recommended skill gears and engraving. Now I am gonna be focusing on PvP first. That's the main reason why I pulled for Momo. And surprisingly, I saw a number of guides out there on YouTube, and I did not notice anyone mentioning this. But her best weapon for PvP, in my opinion, again, my opinion, is the focus one. Now, the reason for that is because for when you're unharmed, it increases your maximum range of single target skills by 1 tile. Okay, and at 5 stars, when you max it out, you increase your magic damage by 15%. Okay, now why is that strong? The reason for it is because if you look at her alert, it's 3 tile radius. However, if you use the focus one, it actually turns her this alert skill to 4 tile radius. That's right, not 3 but 4 tile radius. That gives you a huge advantage on your zone of control. Okay, and I'll show this in the gameplay a little bit later. And yeah, I'm telling you, if you play PvP, it's great. Zone of control is so important because it really restricts on how the other player is going to approach you. That's the main strength of Momo. And not only that is because she's very strong versus physical, so physical is not going to be able to one shot her at all. And then of course, now let's take a look at the recommended trinket. Now, because if we are focusing on the alert, we definitely want the hunter's intuition. See, when alert is triggered, it deals more percentage damage, and moreover, if a foe uses a skill within the range of the alert, it will also be triggered. So it is possible that someone move into your range, they get hit once. If they try to use a skill, you hit them again and they might just die. So you can literally kill someone before they can do anything. And if you're using the focus one and you have 4 range, chances of someone actually be able to be reaching you or interrupt you is very minimal. You can really have a huge zone of control, and at 5 stars, it is a whooping 25 damage, 25 increase in damage. So with the one at 15 and then the hunter's intuition 25, that's already 40%. Now for the tarot, if you're going with this build, definitely go with the tower, because when it's not your character's turn, the damage is increased by another 20%. So we're talking about 15, 25, 20, 40, 60, total of 60%. So the alert skill does 70%, and I heard that is multiplicative, but some people are saying additive. But anyway, either way, you gain 60% increase in damage. Huge, big numbers, I can tell you that right now. Now you may be looking at my details and it's like, hey, how come you're not using a one with the ultimate I guess the extra bonus legendary skill? And I thought about the different effects you could have, but I realized that for tower, you gain for the 4th legendary skill, you are able to gain what we call life steal. Now for her alert, she already gains life steal at 50%. And if you're doing huge numbers and if you're doing a PvP, chances are that's already enough to heal you to full. Versus where if you're able to get maybe like a perfect 10% magic attack and you just get a huge big numbers, you're most likely going to be able to one shot, maybe two shot a lot of the enemy's heroes. Um, in addition to that, I also recommend using, I believe, is double one. Now, double one, what it does that if you use basic attack skill and strike back or assist attacks, you gain one random level 2 buff. And we all know level 2 buffs are quite strong. And the fun part is that she will be gaining a lot of buffs because alert. If every time you use alert, you gain a buff. If you use this ultimate skill, it's an instant skill, then you instantly get another buff. And then of course, even if you use normal attack, you get another buff. So the chances of her gaining 4, 5, 6 buffs in 1 or 2 turns is significant. And once you get enough, if you get full buffs, it's her, like her stats are going crazy. I tell you, crazy. But anyways, we'll go over, look at some gameplay a little later. That's what I would recommend if you're going with this PvP build. Okay, and then finally we're gonna look at the skills. As far as for, let's take a look at it in here. I'm just gonna quickly talk over what I kind of skipped over and I definitely recommend having. For PvP, you definitely want the single target. Even with this single target with the one, although this is 1 or 2 range, it becomes 3 range. For aura, AoE damage taken for allies reduced by 25%. Maybe it's useful if you know for sure if you're facing an AoE team, but I don't feel like that's probably the best skill, especially when you have so little limited slots. Now for this one here, I actually took both. The reason why is for PvP you need this, the repulsion application. There's a push and pull, and you can choose. I think if I remember correctly, she might be the only one that have a skill where you can both push and pull. I know a lot of you like Simona and the Frost or Ice Priest can push, but she is unique where she can pull, and it's amazing. In PvP, and it's super long range. You control the field. I'm telling you, she is so good. For the AoE route, or if you're going with PvE, the erosion power is really good because you get more increase in damage, but more so you get the infection, which is a completely different build. As far as for her reaction, because she is very strong against physical, and when she has the repulsion barrier, I highly recommend getting the force field, because if she gets strikes in melee, I believe it's melee attack, she will strike back at 70% and inflict one stack of infection. Excuse me. So you just can't believe it. Like if people can move into range, if for some reason they still survive, hit her in melee, and if she survives, the other person is like 99.9% dead because they're getting hit a couple times. crazy damage. As far as for this one, because her alert skill is 4 range, if you use the focus one, maybe I don't know, maybe some PvE might want to use it for some odd reason, but for PvP, I feel it's probably this is the best skill to go with. Now for the level rank 7, there is the other way of using the AoE route for PvE. Not so much PvP, I would say. So I went with the Dark Ripple, and there's no cooldown as long as you have energy. As far as for toughness, I don't really see she have as much use out of it, especially if there is very limited slots if you're going with the ultimate alert skill build way. As far as for the normal upgraded attack, hypnotic attacks feels good, but 30% is not that great. Sleep is strong. It's a very strong skill, but personally, 30% is a little low. I think having this plus regenerating your energy is probably what I would recommend. And also, even with the basic attack with the focus one, it actually changes to 3 range, and I'll show you that later as well. And then of course for the rank 11 ultimate, for PvP, no and if the bus get Doom Awaken, get this. This is like the bomb. The alert is no joke. As far for the other side, it's debatable. I mean, if you really want the 3% attack and use the Castelia, you can. He does use 3 energy instead of the other single target skill, which is by cooldown. So if you have a lot of energy for some reason, or if you have a battery, then this is a much stronger skill, little bit stronger, 140 versus 150, but this gives you life steal, versus where this one here is 140, but if the other character have a shield, you increase your attack by 15%. So it's a trade, but as far as like which one is better, without spending all your Custodias, definitely get your Doom Awaken. So as far as for the build for PvP, straightforward. You get the energy regen, force field, single or target attack for the 3 range. You will get the pull and push, and then of course the ultimate Doom Awaken. Okay, so that's the recommended build for PvP. Now for PvE, it is possible to go with what we call it a AoE route. For AoE, you might even consider not using this skill at all. So for the doesn't I think at this point for the AoE route it wouldn't really matter, unless you are able to get the max out your origin hourglass, because the hourglass at 5 stars you will increase your magic attack by 8% for a little bit increase. But other than that, I don't believe there's any. Oh, actually, you can also use like the Warring Flint or the Arm Guard, which I don't have, to do more AoE damage, and I believe it does affect the when you use the other skill, which is inflicting infliction. So that's another way to do it, if you either using a instant skill to do it. And then for the taros, if you're not using the ultimate alert, then the tower is sort of useless. Then what I would recommend is actually using Dream of Magician, and especially if you have the ultimate and you're hitting a lot of heroes. So that's what I would say to go for. So that's probably, I don't have the Arm Guard, but let's just say we're going to use a Flint, so something to that respect. And for the skills, you actually want it a little different. There, you want the Misfortune Erosion. This is a huge AoE range, 3x4. Puts a 2 stacks of infliction, 65%. And then, of course, you will want the here erosion power, just put another stack. And then for the last one, you would put the other AoE skill, where it's possible to either disable their passive or reaction skills. That's something that's also quite strong. So depending on what your needs are, you are fighting for energy though. Keep that in mind, okay? You can use only one or the other. You are fighting for energy. However, that's why you wanna, when you're waiting, you wanna use your invigorating strike. So that is possible one route to go if you're going with AoE. Now, as far as for the engraving, because you're going PvE, chances are you're going to be moving a lot more. I believe going sword with the wand is good, because then as you move, chances are you're going to move at least 3, and then you get your attack and defense by 12%. So I believe, in my personal opinion, if you're going with the AoE route, this is definitely usable way for her. But as far as for PvE goes, honestly, I may be choosing maybe even Barrel might be better. Sort of depends, because she is not. There's really not. We really don't see any, I guess, content, at least not right now, that requires a lot of AoE. However, when Tower of Adversity, I believe is what is called TOA, we may require her to use her AoE and her infliction skills, her dot skills, damage over time skills, and that might come in handy. But it's not here yet, so it might be a few months before that happen. Until then, we may have a completely different recommendation, but that is sort of what I would say is another approach from using her. However, main reason I am using her is 100% because of the PvP build. But let's take a look at now some gameplays to see exactly what we're talking about. So let me find, where's my tower? Tower. Oh my goodness, why can't I see it? Am I blind? There you go. Oh yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier, right? It is lifesteal, but personally, I think you should probably have enough. So we're going with this. Just gotta make sure we have the right skills here. We are going with the repulsion. We want to show that off. And then, alright, I think we're ready. So let's take a look at some gameplays on how that may be used to really highlight how strong she can be. So I'm going to go ahead and put Momo up here. Oh, where's she? Oh. I'm gonna change my tactics so I can showcase some of her moves. That's fine. Let's get Inan up here. Oh, where did she go? I think that's good enough. Just want to show a couple things. Okay, here we go. So first thing we want to take a look at is the alert range. So definitely want to take a look at that. So go ahead and let's just stand for now. Okay. All right. So here we go. So I have rewind so we can take a look at what some of the features. So we're gonna go use her ultimate skill. So the skill description says 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and stand. And now let's count the squares. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So even though her skill, right, sets the alert is 3 tile radius, with the focus staff it becomes 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's just rewind. Let's see, here we go. And if we have our skill, this is a 2 range, so her normal attack is able to do 3. If she does her other attack, also is 3. So having greater range also means greater zone of control as well. So able to reach the opponent at a farther and staying out of reach. So that's super strong. Focus 1, highly recommended. But what is also quite interesting is her, and I'm gonna teleport her. I think let's go teleport here. Actually, here. The reason for that is of this skill. So this you can choose, right? You can either pull or push. If it's pull, it's very far. Let's take a look at it again. If it's pull, it's 3 to 5 spaces away, and you are able to pull the enemy toward you like this. And if you're playing in PvP, 3 to 5 is very far. And if there's a gap in between, look what happens. Bye bye. Yup, instant death. So yeah, I don't believe there's any other. Is there any other hero that has that ability? It's crazy. Her range and her support is super strong. And let's just go back, right? So in addition to how it all works, you can actually do this. So I'm just gonna, right, you can actually use your alert because the instant skill. So now you have anything within 4 range of you will get hurt if they're trying to get close to you. And then you can use your skill and pull somebody or push somebody and still instant death. And now you are protected. So you are able to protect your team, protect yourself. Crazy strong. I mean, the combination with that skill is so good. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of why Momo is strong. And because she, actually let's take a look at her, right, her buffs. Because she used her instant skill and an attack skill, she already gained 2 buffs here, a crit buff and this is very random, right, because of the double, I believe, 1. But let's go back, let's take a step back and not do this, but let's move her forward. So is there any magic? Okay, this is the only magician, but everything else is, these 2 are magician, everyone else is physical. So just look, let's see how strong she is. And is she gonna be able to take some hits? Let's go ahead and push this person back. So they would have to move in range. Just for the sake, what will happen if people are, if she's gonna put it in the middle. So she's gonna boom, 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 dead. I mean, just crazy, right? And now if they're trying to get you, you just move back just a little bit, stay out of, and yeah. And if they go more attack, but you get the idea, right? She still have stacks. Right now she's only 2 stars, but imagine if she is at least 3 stars and getting 2 stacks every turn, and anything kind of moving toward her before they can do much, you're able to literally destroy them. Super strong. As far as for PvE, I do want to mention one more thing before I end this guy. I know it's getting super long. Is that she may pair well with Nono Will, because Nono Will is able to use anesthetic with her 1000 blades to AoE sleep heroes. But the only problem is that Nono Will has a speed of 159 and Momo is a little bit slower at 132. So ideally you want Momo to go first to do her AoE infection, and then Nono will go in AoE and put everything to sleep. So in PvE you're able to use your tactics and speed her up, but in PvP a little bit more difficult to pull off. So I do want to mention that sort of, I guess, for the last thing. But yeah, that's my guide for Momo. What do you think? Will you be using the focus one? Are you gonna do you have a different recommendation for a different weapon? Although the Starry Sky Heritage is overall a strong weapon because it does give you HP and a magic attack. But personally, I definitely will be using the focus one. Now with that said, love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy my guides, my videos, and you want to see more content, don't forget to give a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Alrighty, that's all. Take care, good luck, and aloha.